time is now 7:35. I'm going to call this public hearing and regular business meeting of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia for July 23rd, 2018 to order. Apologize, we were running just a little late coming out of exec session. Tonight we have our invocation with Dr. Sandra Jones. She's the senior pastor at Cannon United Methodist Church. Dr. Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and members of the council and citizens gathered tonight. I invite us to join in a time of prayer. Holy and loving God, I thank you for the gift of leadership. I thank you for our mayor and our council persons and for all the people who are here tonight. I pray that your presence and your guidance would be with us in making decisions for the city, and thank you for the commitment to service and all that you do through your people. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Next, we have the Pledge to the Flag by Anthony Turner. He's an 11th grader at Brookwood High School who's a member of Boy Scout Troop 504.
Would you please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And I do want to announce Councilmember Dave Emanuel is not here tonight. He is on a trip in the Greek Isles. Thinking about all of us and the meeting tonight, I'm sure. We have no ceremonial matters, so we'll have the approval of the minutes for July 9th, 2018. Is there a motion?
Yes, motion to approve the minutes of the July 9th, 2018 council meeting and work session. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That is 4 in favor and none opposed. We have no invited guests, no committee and department reports. Next, we'll have the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
I'd like to amend the agenda to move under new business, item A should be moved to public hearing, item B, and that actual item is a first reading on ordinance 2018-09.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That's 4 in favor and none opposed. The agenda is approved with amendment. So now we'll go into our public hearing. We have item A, an update on the progress of our 2040 comprehensive plan. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Just a quick update on the progress on our 2040 comp plan. As you guys know, it's required by the Department of Community Affairs to set the vision for the city as well as to receive any kind of funding from the state. It's driven by public involvement, which is then made into a policy document, features the land use plan and the short and long-term work program. Currently, the Jacobs staff, who we contracted to help us with this plan, has conducted 2 engagement activities. One was held at the Public Safety Night. The other was held near Target at the Presidential Market Shopping Center. We've received good participation and really good feedback. A survey has also been conducted online with nearly 200 responses so far. There was also enacted a Snellville Community Task Force. They've had 2 meetings. The first meeting addressed strength and weakness assessment, basically opportunities for us to improve ourselves, as well as the second meeting was more about setting a vision in some of the character areas in the city. The task force is set to reconvene August 9th to review the plan that's been written so far, and so far the plan is on time and set to be adopted by the end of the year. Any questions?
Any questions of Mr. Thompson?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. This is a public hearing item, so I will open up the floor to public comment if anyone has any questions or comments about our 2040 comprehensive plan. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and move to item B, 2018-09, first reading on the ordinance, consideration and action on an ordinance authorizing an increase in the salaries for the mayor, mayor pro tem, and council members of the city of Snellville, Georgia. Councilmember Linsky.
Thank you. The last salary adjustment that Snellville's elected officials have had was in 1983. And it's now, of course, 35 years later. Roger was not even born yet back then, but the current mayor's salary is still what it was in 1983, $6,000 per year. Each city council member earns $4,000 per year, which is, again, the 1983 wage as well. Just for comparison purposes, I thought this would be fun, a blast from my past. Back in 1983, when I got my first job at McDonald's, minimum wage was $3.35 an hour. Today it is $7.25 an hour. Now, I'm not saying I want to go back to work at McDonald's, but I am saying that it is way past time for a cost of living adjustment for mayor and council. The population in 1983 here in Snellville was approximately 9,000. Our population now has more than doubled, and the duties and the responsibilities of mayor and council have increased tremendously as well. Our compensation should reflect this. Therefore, I've proposed that the new salary scales be as follows. Mayor, $12,000 per year. Mayor pro temp position, $10,000 per year. And members of council, $8,000 per year. These salary increases are absolutely essential to attracting highly qualified candidates to run for office in the city of Snellville. In the most recent 2017 election cycle, posts 3, 4, and 5 were uncontested, and the election ended up being canceled. And I want to say that, yes, Barbara, Gretchen, and I were those candidates, and were very strong candidates, and I'm glad that we were unopposed on the one hand, but I'm also really concerned that this might become the norm in the city of Snellville. No opposition. Competition's going to be a good thing. Competition breeds new ideas, and we need to think seriously about how is it that we can attract young people to our community, bright, inspired servant leaders into Snellville. The salaries are an important factor in this. If this ordinance should pass, the pay increases will not apply to the current council. Let me say that again. The pay increases, if they should pass, will not apply to this current council. They will apply to those who take office after the next regular municipal elections in November of 2019, and that would be for posts 1 and 2 and also for mayor. And the rest of us are on the staggered terms, November 2021, post 3, which is my position, post 4 and post 5 are not up for re-election until 2021. So should I decide to actually run again, which I may not do by that point, because I'm hopefully going to be retiring to a desert island after I win the lottery or something of that sort, but I may never see any increase at all for me, myself personally, in this deal. This is the part that the media is, of course, going to miss. I'm hoping that we will not see a headline in the next few weeks, mayor and council vote themselves a pay hike. That is not what this is. Please understand that we cannot, by law, do this. The salary adjustments that we're proposing in this ordinance would only apply prospectively, not retroactively. We would like to hear your thoughts during the next few weeks on this matter. Tonight's the first reading only on this ordinance, And so please contact us, and I hope to hear from some of you tonight on this issue. Let us know your questions, your thoughts, your concerns, and I hope that you will join me in supporting this measure.
Thank you, Councilwoman Linsky. Are there any other council members that wish to speak? Okay, this is on our public hearing agenda, so I will open up the floor to public comment if anyone would like to come up and address this issue. Please give your name and address for the record.
Kurt Schultz, 2027 Tanglewood Drive. I know I'm a little biased on this, but I want to speak honestly about this. I was on the council 26 years ago, and of course the pay was still the same back then, and as Christy alluded to, our population was much less. Also, the requirements of the council back at that time were not nearly what it is today. Back then, we were, I think, lucky if we had one ribbon cutting a month, and now it seems like there's 2 a week anymore with all the activity in Snellville. And even thinking about running for office, I know back then when I ran, I spent almost $2,000 for a $4,000 job. And today, you know, when Gretchen ran, you know, we were talking about, well, let's keep it to 2,000, you know, in that neighborhood. And luckily, you know, she was unopposed. And but to think of, you know, encouraging people to run for even these increased salaries is, I don't think much at all for all the work you guys do, because I see it every day. Gretchen's somewhere, someplace, you know, doing things for the city, you know, and I think you all deserve it. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Is there anyone else that would like to speak about this item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing.
May I add one thing?
Yes.
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem, the process of approving this is one that has to be advertised, and so that has been accomplished. It's been appearing in the paper for the last 3 weeks that this was going to be considered. This is the first consideration of it. This is our first read process and first public hearing, and then it gets referred to the next meeting, which is August the 13th, 2018, 7:30, to this same meeting room for a second reading, which is their final consideration and action.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Okay, with that, we've closed the public hearing. If there's a motion.
Motion to waive the first reading on ordinance 2018-09 to be scheduled for a second reading and public hearing on August 13th.
There's a motion to waive the first reading. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. It's 4 in favor and none opposed. Okay, we have nothing on our consent agenda, no old business. Under new business, we have new item A, that's first reading ordinance 2018-10, consideration and action on adoption of the speed zone ordinance pursuant to Georgia Code, Title 40, Section 40-6-370 through Section 40-6-376 and Section 40-6-181 through Section 40-6-183 of the Uniform Rules of the Road. What this is, every 3 years, the city has to turn in speed limits on each of our city streets to renew our, is it the DPS permit? Yes. Am I saying that right? For radar detection and speed control. So this is just passing the ordinance to allow the police department to submit that application. With that, is there a motion?
Motion to waive the reading of ordinance 2018-10 to the August 13th meeting.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. It's 4 in favor and none opposed. With that, that concludes our regular business meeting, so we'll move into council reports. Councilmember Marmol?
No report.
Councilmember Linsky?
Oh, we had a ribbon cutting for Kids Are Kids on Saturday. It was a great event, wonderful facility. I really wish that I could be a child again and go back there and play. They had so many cool things for kids to do. It's a far cry from what babysitting used to be. This is going to be another quality, affordable daycare, childcare center for the Centerville, Snellville area. And let's see, we have a new neurosurgeon, I can't even say it, neurology unit opening at Eastside on Wednesday. So we're looking forward to ribbon cutting again. Couple more things coming up next month. The School of Rock is opening, another item to keep kids engaged and busy, located near the old, where Michael's is. So lots of things happening in Snellville, and don't forget tomorrow's runoff election day as well.
Thank you. Councilmember Schultz?
I just have a couple of things. One thing is, I wanted to report a little bit about Saturday's farmers market. We had one of the most challenging markets we've had in 9 years due to the weather. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the volunteers, the brave volunteers that were there through the setup period for the market, because it was extremely challenging. And those are Peter Deschardonnay, Regina Hart, Jeff Lasher, Dale Stanley, who's here tonight, Ann McGill, of course, Kurt and Gretchen Schultz, and then Greta Coble, who's become our new welcome person for the market. But we had to take shelter in the stairwell in City Hall when the heavy rains and rain hit. We lost 2 of our tents that we had just purchased this year, so that was kind of disappointing. But the market went on, and we had 15 vendors that showed up, and we were thrilled, and those that came just had a really good day. The only challenge was, at that point, was the mud on the green. But I was just so impressed that the volunteers there just pulled through, and we had another market despite some very challenging conditions to start with. The other thing I wanted to mention, that I'm going to have the honor of being a judge this Saturday night for the Mr. and Ms. Special Gwinnett pageant that's at First Baptist Church. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I think it'll be fun. And then just to add a little bit to Ms. Lenski's discussion of the salaries for council members, I just, because I was interested, this week I kept track of how many hours I spend on city business, but also as well as the farmers market, the community garden, which are volunteer efforts on my part. But I came up with 25 hours. And I figure at our pay of $333.33 a month, that comes to about $78 a week. So I figured I made $3 and some change per hour. So that just kind of puts it in perspective, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Schultz. Just a few items. We haven't had a meeting since our last concert on the Green. If anyone was there for the Queen tribute band, they were totally awesome. It was a great night. The weather held out for us, so it turned out beautiful, and the band they truly were fabulous. They rocked the house, and we had a full Green, so it was a lot of fun. On a sad note, one of our longtime volunteers, Nelson Williams' wife, passed away last week. So if you will keep their family in your prayers. They were married for 65 years. They had known each other 80 years. They started playing in the sandbox together at 2 or 3 years old. So not many people can say that, but if you could just keep their family in our prayers. They had a very sweet memorial service for her on Saturday. Also, our own Chuck Ross, his wife, had a little bit of an accident yesterday, so if you can keep her in your prayers, she's going to require some surgery, and we're praying for her as well. With that, we will open up the floor to public comment. If anyone has anything to address, please come forward. State your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing or public comment section. And is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. 4 in favor. We're out. Thank you all for coming out.